Hey everyone, welcome back to Philly in the Brain. Quick question for you. Have you ever been at the gas pump making life decisions like, do I fill up or do I get half a tank and buy some food? It's crazy, right? But have you ever stopped to think about why those prices fluctuate so wildly? It's often tied to complex global events, and right now one of the most significant factors is the escalating situation that we find ourselves in with Iran. So in today's episode, we're going to break down how this conflict will directly impact what you pay at the pump and why this geopolitical event has such a real effect on your life. So hey, you still here? Then you must be interested. Hit that like button and let's go. I told you to hit that like button. Hit the like button. We are in a conflict with Iran, and the energy markets have reacted almost immediately. In days leading up to the conflict, reports indicated that crude oil prices jumped more than 4% due to the fears that the U.S. might join Israel's offensive against Iran. Now that the United States has officially entered this conflict, I'm curious to see what will happen in the coming days. Oil prices jumped just over $78 a barrel following Israel's attack on Iran. This was the biggest same-day gain since March of 2022. Gas prices have already been increasing, and analysts are warning of further hikes in the coming months. The market's sensitivity to these events underscore a fundamental principle. Any perceived threat to oil supply, especially from a major producing region like the Middle East, sends shockwaves through the global economy. A huge part of why the Middle East is so crucial to the global oil supply and why the conflict there sends shivers down the spines of economists and commuters alike brings us to a geopolitical feature that you might not have heard about, but it is absolutely vital. The Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow, strategically vital waterway that connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea and the Gulf of Oman. It's essentially a maritime bottleneck, and its location is incredibly significant. On one side, you have Iran, and on the other, Oman and the United Arab Emirates. The Strait of Hormuz is the only marine entryway into the Persian Gulf. So why is this narrow stretch of water so important? Because it is, without exaggeration, the world's single most important oil passageway. Think about that for a second. According to all the major news outlets, approximately 1/5 to 1/3 of the world's total oil consumption passes through this strait. That's a staggering amount of oil, roughly 20 to 33% of the world's oil supply. Major oil producing nations in the Persian Gulf, including Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE, rely on this strait to export their oil to global markets. The strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz cannot be overstated. Any significant disruption to this waterway will have immediate and severe consequences for global oil supply. Energy markets will be disrupted as a result of this. This isn't just speculation, it's a well-understood geopolitical risk. At the time of this recording, the Iranian parliament is discussing whether they should close the Strait of Hormuz in response to U.S. airstrikes. This highlights the very real threat to your pockets. And that brings us to the core of our discussion. How does this all translate to higher gas prices for you and me? It's a pretty straightforward principle, but with devastating real-world consequences. Imagine a pipeline that carries a significant portion of the world's oil. Now imagine that pipeline being severely restricted or even shut down. That's essentially what a disruption in the Strait of Hormuz will mean. When the supply of a commodity like oil decreases, but the demand remains constant or even increases, the price of that commodity inevitably goes up. It's basic supply and demand. So if a conflict with Iran leads to a blockade or even just a significant slowdown of oil through the Strait of Hormuz, the global supply of crude oil would plummet. The scarcity would drive up prices of crude oil dramatically. And what happens when crude oil prices rise? That increase is directly passed on to consumers at the gas pump. The cost of refining, transportation, and taxes remain relatively stable, but the raw material, the crude oil, becomes much more expensive. We've already seen how quickly oil prices react to threats of disruption. A real, sustained disruption would be far more impactful. Goldman Sachs warned that a worst-case scenario involving blockades in the Strait of Hormuz could push oil prices above $100 per barrel. To put that in perspective, every $10 increase in the price of a barrel of oil typically translates to a 25 to 30 cent increase in the price of a gallon of gasoline. So a jump to $100 a barrel could mean significantly higher prices at your local gas station. But the impact doesn't just stop at the gas pump. Higher energy costs ripple throughout the entire economy. Think about it. Everything from transporting goods to manufacturing products relies on energy. When the cost of that energy goes up, so does the cost of producing and delivering almost everything else. This leads to inflation, where your money simply buys less. And let's face it, folks, we've had just about all the inflation that we can take. Businesses face higher operating costs, which they often pass on to consumers in the form of higher prices for goods and services. This can squeeze household budgets, reduce consumer spending, and potentially slow down economic growth. It's a chain reaction that starts with a barrel of oil and ends up affecting your grocery bill, your utility costs, and even the price of your favorite coffee. Governments are, of course, aware of these risks. They have various strategies to mitigate the impact, such as releasing oil strategic petroleum reserves or engaging in intense diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions. However, these are temporary solutions, and the underlying vulnerabilities remain as long as the world is heavily reliant on oil from volatile regions. So what does this all mean for you? The connection between geopolitical events, especially this conflict that we find ourselves in with Iran, and the price that you pay at the gas pump are directly related. It is undeniable. The Strait of Hormuz stands as a critical choke point, a geopolitical reality that underscores the fragility of global oil supply chains. Understanding this connection is the first step in becoming an informed consumer and citizen. All right, y'all, that wraps it up for this episode. How the conflict in Iran will affect you at the gas pump. There it is. All right, so thank you for joining us. We hope this episode shed some light on this complex issue. If you found this information helpful, please give us a like, share this video with friends and family, and subscribe to our channel for more explanations of the world around us. And let us know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on this conflict, and do you think it will affect your daily life? We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay curious, and you know what it is. Take care of each other, love one another. Peace. And citizen. Understanding this connection is the first step in being an informed consumer and understanding. I told you to hit that like button. Hit the like button. Thanks. Are you thinking about starting a YouTube channel, but you don't know where to begin? Or are you just looking for like-minded individuals? Consider joining our group, Grounded Life. You can scan right here, or the link is in the description. Check it out.